Hello, you are listening to Oops, Spoilers. This is a Those Other Girls media production. Oops, Spoilers is a podcast / YouTube show where we go over movies, TV shows, and eventually we'll be doing books that are popular, not popular, and we just give our opinion. I'm saying our, I'm not schizophrenic. I'm saying our because eventually we'll have more guests on here, but we go over the movies and the TV shows and the books. We give our opinion, we review it, and there are spoilers. But you can't say you don't know because, the title is called Oops, Spoilers. And also, too, I'll give a TOG score at the end. So, this episode is brought to you by Culture of Life 1972. Culture of Life 1972 has really cute jewelry, such as the 1972 necklace. They also have clothes. They have other forms of accessories that 100% of the profit goes to pro-life organizations. And if you use the code Those Other Girls 1972, you get 10% off. Okay, so if you have clicked this, you already know what I'm going to be talking about. This show that swept the nation, it was last year, I think, when it came out. Yes, 2021. It came out last year in 2021. I actually just rewatched it with my friend over the weekend. And, it's one of the ones, so Netflix has these really quick miniseries that I'm obsessed with. I love this 6 episodes, sometimes 8 episodes. You knock it out. It's usually a quick mystery. It's some of them that are really good, and I'll go over all of them eventually. Clickbait is the one we're going to go over today. Echoes, which is new. It came out recently. Finished that this past weekend as well. So good. Clickbait, Echoes, Behind Her Eyes, wild, and The Stranger is one. The Sinner is not a Netflix one, but it is the similar type of show. 8 episodes, and it has 3 seasons, and it's an anthology, so each season is different. It follows different people, except for the sheriff is the same. The sheriff is the same in all 3. I think there's one more season that is just waiting to come on Netflix. So in all 4 seasons, but it's different. It's a different case he's investigating. So good. If you guys know of any more of these 6, 8 episode, quick, really good series, mini-series, let me know. Once again, I really love them, and Clickbait was no exception. Clickbait was really good. The first time I watched it, I was talking to one of my friends and I was telling him I was watching it. So then we watched the last episode together over FaceTime. And what we would do, I miss doing this with him. What we would do is, we would try to click play at the same time, and only one of us would have the sound on, through the FaceTime. So then we would be like, oh my God, I cannot believe what it was. Just such a good show, and pretty much the same thing happened with my friend that I watched it with. She had already seen it too. We just were rewatching it just for something to watch. I want to add Cruel Summer. It's not on Netflix. That one's on Hulu, and it was done by ABC Family, also known as Freeform. It's been known as Freeform for years. I still keep calling it ABC Family. It's done by Freeform, but it's actually really, really good. But it's a quick mini-series as well, and I don't think it's being picked up. Anyway, so I'm excited to do this. So without further ado, you should stop right here if you don't want any more spoilers, because here we go. I would hate for you to listen and for me to go, oops, spoilers. Okay, so first I'm going to give you guys the description on IMDb. So Clickbait, it is, okay. When a family man, Nick Brewer, is abducted in a crime with a sinister online twist, those closest to him race to uncover who is behind it and why. Okay, so the show starts off really with Nick Brewer and his sister, Nick Brewer's family, so his wife and his 2 kids and his sister, at his mother's birthday party. I want to go ahead and talk about the thing that bothered myself, so many on Twitter, and just everyone that I know that watched the show. I want to talk about the elephant in the room. The wig they gave the sister, her name is Pia. Pia's wig is atrocious. Atrocious. It's awful. I don't know why they did it. It was distracting. The first time I saw it, I had to make myself stop hating it. It's an awful wig. Whoever's in charge of that, please come and, I hope you didn't receive any awards. I'm sorry. It was not good. Not good. It was atrocious. I hated it. Her wig was awful. I have to get that out of the way because that's something that, it still, thinking about it, it's upsetting me. It's that bad of a wig. So when you watch it, if you have not watched it, just be warned, it's an awful wig. All right, moving on. So it starts off there, and it is their mother's birthday, and you can tell there's some tension between Pia, Nick, and his family. So then, there's a big fight. Pia leaves. She goes to a club, drops her phone in the toilet. Next day, moves forward. One thing I do like about the show is it moves fast. One thing I hate first episodes of shows. But I will say, miniseries, the first episode, it has to be. It's usually really, really good. A good first episode of a show, I don't know if I would do it. Let me know if you guys want to see. Because it's more on the nerd side. Invincible. That first episode, I was like, okay. And then my brother was like, no, just wait to the end. Anyway, one thing I do like about these miniseries, and Clickbait is no exception, is how quick, as fast it is. How it gets to the point of the show. I can't stand when, the first episode's over and you're kind of like, okay. It took too long to set things up. So, next day, Pia, she is a nurse. She is working with the patient, and the patient is watching a video on YouTube, and it's someone talking about a video where a man is holding a sign, and that says that he is that he abuses women, and at 5 million views, he will die. And the man in the video is her brother. So also too, I want to say I have a brother who I'm incredibly close with. We're 15 months apart. He's my best friend. So anything with brother, sister always makes me super emotional, especially anything like this. Just a side note, that Twitter, that tweet that was going around, I don't think it's real, but someone was like, yes, so the brother gave his sister a kidney in a surgery and then woke up and was like, oh no, where's my sister? Is my sister okay? Or something like that. And they're like, yeah, your sister's fine. And he was like, but I'm okay. Anyway, long story short, I'm butchering it. But the sentiment is the brother was giving an organ to the sister and he thought he was going to die. But he was giving it to her because they didn't explain it well. Anyway, super sweet, makes me emotional when I think about it. I'm going to not get emotional over that. So my brother and I are super close. So that's another reason why this movie is really good. And I feel like I can see some of the, I get the close relationship. They seem to be when we see them, they're fighting, but when you go back and you look at things and they tell each other everything, that's how my brother and I kind of are. I definitely overshare more with him than he does with me, but there'll be those moments where he'll open up and he'll be like, yes, tell me more. And then most of the time I'm just like, hey, I gotta tell you this and this is going on in my life. Anyway. Okay, so she sees him on the screen and it says at 5 million views that he's going to die. So obviously you see that and you're like, oh my God, that's my brother. And then also too, it's I think in real life, your initial thing would be what type of film project is this? You're not going to think it's real. And that's essentially what happens. It starts, so many people, it goes viral. Some people are looking at it because they're like, this can't be real. This can't be real. This can't be real. But it turns out it is. Maybe. Sorry, I'm drinking a kombucha. So she's trying to call him. He doesn't answer. She goes to his place of employment. Doesn't answer. Talks to his best friend. Haven't seen him. Talks to the wife. Haven't seen him. And then his kids, everybody's like, where is he? Where is he? So, they spend that next episode trying to figure out where he is. So the title of all the episodes are centered around like a particular person. So this episode is called The Sister, and it's really her search trying to figure out, okay, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And it flashes back a little bit to moments where they're really close and like they're good friends, and she is really in there like fighting for her brother. So they eventually take it to the police. And funny story, while she was at the club, remember she drops her phone, she was at the club, she matched with someone that on her, like on the form of Tinder. And turns out that ends up being the police officer who's in charge of her case, which I think is just like a weird, like, I guess they were just trying to figure out how to give her a love interest, but like, I don't know, it's like weird placement. My friend was saying how like realistically she wouldn't want to be with him because it reminds her of the worst moment of her life. And then I was like, true, or he is working so hard it brings her comfort and they've been through something so traumatic, because let's be honest, like something like this is so not the normal that it's going to be traumatic for everyone involved. Not as obviously not as traumatic to him as it is to her, but it's going to be tough. So anyway, so she so she goes to the police, and the police are like, okay, weird, but no, they're not really taking it seriously. And the number keeps going up and keeps going up, keeps going up. And they're calling him and everything. They bring the kids out of school. His kids are out of school. And she realizes so eventually her phone is dropped in the toilet. She put it in rice. It comes back out. I want you to know that does not work. I don't know why people act like it works. It does not work. Anyway, it comes out of rice. It's fine. And she realizes she has a voicemail from him where he's saying something like, that I have to tell you something. I'm sorry that we got in a fight. And it was like that. It was the night that they got in the fight, pretty much. So, she's like, okay, we gotta, and he didn't sound distraught or anything. So she's like, okay, like something happened. What happened? Something has happened. Fast forward some, and then another video comes out where it says that he killed somebody. And now, the police, they don't know anything about Nick. They don't know what's going on. So they're all, if from the perspective of like Pia and the wife and the kids, it probably was very frustrating, the way that they were handling it. But also too, like as a police officer, you don't know what's going on. And now someone is accused of murder. Okay, we got to see. So they're kind of investigating it from that standpoint. Well, they are still trying to figure everything out when the kid who was watching the YouTube video, he has a group of, I guess, computer nerds created something. So they were everybody's like trying to figure out where this guy is. They were able to find out where he was based on the location of the delivery van. So they find, or not necessarily his location, but yeah, they find the location of based on the van that the video was filmed in. It's filmed in a van, and they're able to figure, okay, this is type of delivery van. Okay, let's see. So that's the end of the first episode. Second episode is called The Detective. So this is really, we go and we learn a little bit more about the detective. We learn that he's Muslim. We learn that his family wants him to get, he lives with his family. And we learn that he's divorced and he has a kid. And it's hard for him. When I say his family, I mean his immediate family, not his married family, because they're divorced. Okay, so let's see. So they also, too, Pia and the detective is Detective Rasha. He was like, wait, what is this? That is not his name. Sorry, y'all, give me 2 seconds. What was his name? Oh, Roshan, whatever. So Detective Roshan, I don't know why it says, it was covered up. Oops. So Detective Roshan, makes a deal because he wants to be on the case to help Pia, and Pia's like, whatever, I just need someone to cover this case, and we need to find my brother. Let's find my brother. That is her main objective. So, like I said, we're learning things about that eventually. So, we're learning, not that he's irrelevant, but he kind of is. Like, let's move on. We're trying to figure out what's going on with Nick. That's the whole thing with the show. We're just trying to figure out, like, where is Nick? First, we're trying to figure out where is Nick, what happened to Nick, and what is all this behind the scenes stuff. So, they figure out where Nick, some of the things that had led up to right before Nick left. We see that he got in a fight at a bar with a man. And it's like, okay, but who is this man? Y'all, we'll get to that in a second. There is a thing where people are like trying to help track him down. And let's talk about that for a second. The way the internet responded is it's probably very realistic, and it just shows how desensitized we are to things. So people kept watching the video, and I was thinking, would I have watched the video if someone told me about it? If I'm honest with myself, I'd watch once. I think I would have enough self-control not to watch twice. But I would probably watch once, because what's so crazy is, like, our mind can't wrap around that being the truth. It's hard to think that this is true. I'd want to watch because I'd be like, okay, is this real? Like, this can't be real. Let me see in the background. Okay, there's the boom mic. That's why I would want to watch it. But it's, yeah. So that's how they acted from that standpoint. And then there was people who were trying to track him down. And someone made a fake doll at one point to track him down. And then someone did find him. They found his corpse. Very sad. They found him in the water. Then Roshan did. And then he had to go tell Pia, which was, like, so sad. And, like, just thinking about it, I'm not going to cry because obviously this is not real. But it was just really sad, Just having someone come tell you that in such a weird way that you can't really wrap your mind around. Like, it's just such a strange, like, getting out of movie head and being in real life, like, it's such a strange situation, strange way to die, strange concepts and everything. So he informs her, and it's really sad. She's upset. They tell the news to Sophie, and they see if Sophie can tell who. Okay, so sorry. The next episode. No, that's the next episode. Which is called The Wife. So this is where we learn more about Sophie. So they tell Sophie, they see if she can remember Nick got in that fight. Who is Nick fighting with? Sophie knows. Y'all, this was, like, shocking and upsetting. Because, I'm very team girl. Sophie had an affair. I can't be team girl anymore. Sophie had an affair, and that was the man she had an affair with. She had an affair with a guy. She had an affair with a guy at her job. So that's who it was. And it just looked very suspicious because it was around the time when they think he disappeared. So then they go to try to find him. And Sophie goes too. Sophie goes to his place. She sneaks out because at this point there's cameras everywhere. The media, just like how they did Ryan Laundrie's family, the media camped out. Everybody's filming everything. Did the same thing with them. So she sneaks out. She goes to his place, and then that's when the police find him at her place. And it just is terrible. They're talking about the affair, and Pia confronts her because that's her brother, and she knows her brother loved her. She knows that. And confronts her about the affair. And then what's also sad is one of their kids hears. And, like, I just can't even imagine, like, hearing that your mom cheated on your dad. And then how that could also be, like, why this awful thing has happened, why your father is dead because your mother cheated on him. Like, that's just, that's awful. So while so then the son goes and, like, runs away pretty much. He goes somewhere. And let's see here. So Sophie tries to follow him, and she runs into this woman who's been following her. Now this, okay, so we're on episode 3 now, and it's a very interesting, interesting everything happening. This is where it just like goes to a whole nother level. If you are enjoying this, if you're enjoying this podcast and you're like, you know what, I want to see this movie, stop listening right now. Okay? I've already spoiled that Nick is dead. I already said that. Oops, spoilers. It gets crazier, and you want to be shocked if you're going to watch this. So stop watching right here, watch it, and then come back and hear my opinion on everything else. Okay, so like, oops, spoilers to the extreme. From now on, she runs into this woman, her name is Emma, who is saying that she had let me check my notes. 6 months ago, they were having an affair. And she lives in LA, and that's where Nick would go frequently for work. And they met on a dating site. And she says that this man, that Nick loves her. And she just wanted to be there because he died. And she thought that like she needed to be there. Well, Sophie's like, are you kidding me? This is my husband. My husband would never cheat on me. My husband would never do any of this stuff. And like yells at her, like, leave us alone or whatever. And then, Sophie leaves. She finds her son is at Pia, which is his aunt's house. They do that. They talk about that. They go to see if they can find this account on the website that the Emma lady said she was. They can't find it because the account was deleted. And Pia goes and asks her little friend from where she works if he can look to see if he can find the account. So episode's almost over. They go to a memorial. And at this point, the information about Curtis, who is the person that Sophie had the affair with. Sophie's the wife. So the information about Sophie and Curtis has been released. So Sophie is like, she knows about Emma's in the affair. So she's, her mind is reeling. And then she just kind of has like a little panic attack during the memorial at the school where he used to work. And he leaves, and some lady says like, oh, you're evil, or you should be ashamed of yourself, something like that. So then, they cause a little scene. So that is the end of episode 3. All right. Episode 4 is about the mistress, Emma. Okay. Emma. First thing about Emma is Emma's weird. I'm sorry. I think we were supposed to be sympathetic to her. Weirdo. She meets him on this app. She knows him as Danny. She met him on the app, and she like has fallen in love, like deep, intense love with him. And it's only been for 6 months, and they've never met. Oops, spoilers. It's all online. But they've never met. That's the trick, you guys. She makes it seem like they've met up. That's why I think she's weird. And we do think they meet up because they do show scenes, or like of her imagination of the bed together and things like that. But y'all, they have never met up. Okay. So she goes and gives her statement to the police. And she tells the police what happens, and she explains that when he was kidnapped and the video came out, she was actually at the gym. Her friend shows it to her. She watches the case the whole time, so we see that, and her friend's like trying to comfort her, and she's just kind of like trying to her friend's like, hey girl, like you were the other woman, like be hurt, cry, but like this is not your man, like you're making it bigger than it is. So she then eventually confronts Sophie. And then Emma tells Sophie her affair, then goes to her hotel room. Her friend calls and is like, what are you doing in Oakland? She says she wanted to see Nick's life. Then she goes to where a shrine is at Nick's old place, where she runs into his best friend. And his best friend is like, oh, who are you? She's like, oh, I knew him through work, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, it's so sad, so sad. And best friend's like, yeah, it is sad. So then Pia comes and talks to the best friend. And then she's like, yeah, do you think Nick had an affair? He's like, no, Nick wouldn't have an affair, y'all. So then they're like, well, this woman, Emma. And he's like, Emma? Well, there's a woman, Emma, out there. So then Pia comes, and you know Pia, she's like, all in her face and everything. Like, what are you doing here? You need to leave. And that's going on. So eventually she misses, forgive me. She confronts her in her face in a hotel room. So she goes up to find Emma. Emma's not there, and she figures out the hotel she's in. And she's all like, what are you doing here? You're making things worse. You need to leave. And then she gets her number in case something else comes up and they need to use her. Well, y'all, she gets a threatening phone call telling her she needs to leave town. She then calls the police. And then she gets run off the road. And she goes into a hospital and she tells them what happened. And then, you guys, they find out Nick has had multiple, I repeat, multiple affairs at that time. So she's really upset. She's like, because she thought she was the one, because Danny, who is Nick, tells her, as soon as we get a divorce, as soon as my last son graduates high school, I'm getting divorced and you're going to be it. Ladies, side note, do not listen. If a married man tells you that, he is lying. They do not leave their wives. I mean, I've never heard of that actually happening in real life. Married men do not leave their wives. They're not going to be with you. They're not. And if he's going to cheat with you, he will cheat on you. I'm going to say it again. If he's going to cheat with you, he will cheat on you. So don't waste your time. Don't waste your time to be with someone who is married or someone who's in a relationship in general. Do not waste your time. Okay. So she leaves. Once she, Emma gets out of the hospital, she leaves, she goes back, and she meets up with someone else who, she ends up with someone else who also was one of the girls that they had that Nick had an affair with, and, he swept her off her feet too, and they're just like, oh, sad, da da da. And then Emma decides she's going to expose him to this reporter. And that's what episode 5 is titled, The Reporter. Now, this reporter, a lot could be said about the reporter. They made him gay. It does not add or take away from the character. It is what it is. But they do want you to know he's gay. Like, there's various times where, like, okay, we get it, he's gay. So just so you know. The reporter is definitely a caricature of how reporters are, or how reporters are nowadays, chasing after everything, doing things unethical, trying to figure things out, this and that. We find out that he's kind of like the loser reporter. If you guys remember from the very first I'm Not Okay episode, kind of how the main character from that movie, she was kind of like on the outskirts, and that's what we get. His name is Ben. That's what we get from Ben. Ben is trying to figure things out. He goes and pretends to be a food delivery person and delivers food into Sophie's house. And Pia and all of them are like, get out, get out, get out. He's doing unethical things. So what he ends up doing, he goes home, and him and his boyfriend are trying to find Nick's dating profiles. And they discover, someone online that is defending him, which is a girl from the college basketball team, volleyball team, and she doesn't really want to talk. She says, go talk to someone else. And the girl is saying, go talk to this because Nick abused her. So at this point we're like, okay, Nick is scum. He's disgusting. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, this man is a lying cheat. Like, how did he die? I honestly thought like something had like he fell or something. Like at this point I'm thinking he fell. And we're just finding out how much of a evil cheater liar he is. So now Nick has this information. I'm sorry. Now Ben has this information about Nick being an abuser. Sophie's lawyer is like, don't air that episode with Emma. And Ben's like, sure, I have to air if you let me interview you. So Sophie's like, oh, I don't know. And Ben's like, come on, I need the story. Okay. So eventually, Ben finds another Nick profile. Excuse me. This person is Jeremy. Through the dark web, he gets it. And he finds out about a woman named Maggie. He goes to a bookstore where she supposedly worked at and say, hey, can we see Maggie? The guy pulls out a cat. And the guy's like, no, I mean her. And Ben shows the bookstore owner a picture, and they're like, that's Sarah. She killed herself 4 months ago. They learn that Sarah has an older brother. Ben goes and sneaks into the older brother's apartment, and the older brother is a big man with a beard. We learn he's really a sweet guy, but he looks intimidating. He's a big man and he has a beard. I'm trying to think of how to describe him. He looks like my friend's husband, and I don't, like, you know, if you're listening, you don't know who that is, so I can't use that person. But he's a big man with a beard. Let's just say that. But he's sweet guy. But they go and they break in and they get her phone. Well, he brings the phone and he sees how, like, the messages that were sent, and how she was saying she was going to unalive herself, and turned out she did. So then Ben is like, I got it. I've got the smoking gun. So then Ben goes to his boss and is like, I'm doing this interview. I have this information. He does the interview. You guys, he does the interview and asks Sophie about it. And Sophie is like, what? And storms out. Meanwhile, his boyfriend does not want to be with him anymore because he thinks that he's doing too much, because when he stole the phone at Simon's, Simon chased him and it was kind of scary. And the boyfriend was there with him. And the boyfriend's like, oh, you're doing too much. Okay. We're almost done, you guys. 3 more episodes. This next one we'll do really quick. So they air that. And what's so crazy is the police didn't know about this girl who had committed suicide. So they're like, what? How did we get this? Because they show the episode. It'd be like if he was on Diane's story. If she was on Diane's story. So they're like, what? So then they have to go and look. Well, the next episode called The Brother. And this is where we learn about Simon, who was Sarah's brother. And I'll do this really quick. Long story short, Simon and Sarah are really close. Sarah is going through a lot of things emotionally, and he is her big brother. So he's doing this a little creepy. He does have a camera and like watches her and makes sure she's okay. So it is creepy, but it's creepy. I'm not going to say at the same time it's because he cares. He should care a different way. Like, that's an invasion of privacy. But so yeah, so they have a really good relationship, and they're sweet. They're a sweet brother sister couple. not couple, like, couple, but like a sweet brother sister, which also too kind of is like Pia and Nick. So Sarah is in love with Nick, who for her is going by Jeremy, and they're like, okay, so she'd be on the phone and like all into him, and he's like, she's super happy now, and she has some emotional problems. And Simon's like, okay, let me just look into this guy. He finds out that he's married, so he wants to tell her that, like, okay, this is not good. This man is not a good guy. And then really sad, Sarah ends up unaliving herself, and we're like, what? Why? What happened? And Simon sees that when she was talking to Jeremy was just very rude to her. She said she was going to kill her to unalive herself, and Jeremy was like, okay, I don't care. I'm not your emotional support back, something like that. And she ends up doing it. So Simon's distraught. So him and his friend, like, make a plan. Well, the police come to find him and his friend, and turns out, here we go, everybody. Oops, spoilers to the extreme. Him and his friend are the ones that kidnapped Nick. We find that out in this episode. They kidnapped Nick, and they are, they're running, they like try to escape when the police are there, because the police are like, okay, this guy's very suspicious. The police end up taking both of them in. Okay, they're saying they fished. They're saying they were fishing the day that Nick disappeared. Let's see, and they had to drive to another city, and Pia follows them into sees. Let's see here. Just trying to make sure, like, looking at my notes, seeing like what is important to share and what is not. Okay, so they eventually arrest him, and they bring him in, and you can see he feels so much remorse. He says he wants to talk to Pia. He ends up telling Pia what happened. Okay, here's what happened, you guys. Everybody ready? This is part 1 of what happened. Part 2, you'll never guess. Okay, part 1 of what happened. They find Nick. He's biking. I think he's doing like deliveries or something. They syringe him, and they put him in the truck that you see in the pictures. They have him hold the signs and everything, and they're talking to him. And Nick is saying, like, this isn't me. Like, I'm not having an affair with your sister. It is not me. I'm telling you, please, it's not me. It's not me. It's not me. Well, the guy's like, oh, it is you. It is you. And he's like, it's not. Well, his friend is like on meth or something. His friend's crazy, you guys. His friend is doing like I guess it's meth. It's like the one with the pipe. You know, with the fire thing, with the lighter, and it has like a little bowl at the end. Ooh, it's crazy. So he's like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do more. And Nick keeps denying it. Well, eventually Simon realizes that it's not him. And Nick fights for, basically lets him go. And Nick is like, I think I know who it is, because only one person, like, because they were talking about some of the things that were going on, only one person he told that his wife had an affair. So he's like, that person's going to get justice. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure your sister, she receives justice. So the guy leaves. So they let Nick go. And Simon, that's the last Simon sees of him. Simon has no idea who killed Nick, because he didn't kill Nick. So you're like, okay, yeah, maybe, I guess. But then at the same time, it's like, why would he do all, like, why would he admit to everything else but the killing? So, at the end of the episode, you're left whether to believe it or not. This episode is episode I like the least. It's called The Son, and essentially the son Ethan, he is messaging someone online. So it's a scene where he's bullied, blah blah blah. I need to wrap this up. So there's a scene where he's bullied, and also too in this episode, Pia explains like, I don't think Simon did it. Simon saying he didn't do it. And Ethan is messaging this girl throughout the entire time, and we don't know who it is because they've never met in real life. And Pia at one point is like, hey, like, are you sure you've met her in person? And Ethan's like, yeah, He hasn't. So after watching an interview of Emma, because Emma, remember the girl who said she had this whirlwind affair with him and has met him and things like that, he listened to her speak and he's like, you know what? What if he didn't meet her? Because the reality is, she's the only person who has met him in person at this point. This is what they think. This is what everybody's thinking. So, they are like, so him and the girl, he goes visit her house and meets her. She turns out to be real, and she has anxiety, so she doesn't leave the house. That's why I haven't met in real life and everything. And it's like kind of awkward, but it's cute. So she's like, okay, let's talk to Emma and see if Emma has met him in person. Long story short, she's like, yes. Well, then he plays a video for her with his voice, and you see it on her face, and she's like, that's not his voice. No, I guess I've never met him. So, they're like, okay, well, what is going on? Like, come on, like, what's happened? So, Pia, she meets up with, okay, so Pia finds out too that no one's actually met him. So someone's catfishing. So what does this come down to? Someone is catfishing people using Nick's information, and it has to be someone who knows him in real life. So they go and try to figure out what's going on with the Tara girl. Tara's like, no, Nick didn't abuse me. Nick was helping me get out of a situation of the best friend. His best friend was abusing girls, okay? Excuse me. And they go, so Pia goes to confront Matt, that's his name, and he sees all of these nude photos of Tara. He sees pictures of Nick's dating profiles. He sees all this stuff, so it makes it seem like this, like, Matt is the one who did it. So you're like, okay, wrapping it up. But like, wait, there's a whole nother episode left. Okay, so they're like going to arrest Matt because they think Matt did it. Long story short, so Kai, the other son, is like, you know what? I'm going to what is this? And Ethan. Okay, sorry, you guys. Looking over my notes. Okay, so they realize that it's Matt. Okay, what is happening? Well, they figure out the last location of the phone of Nick. And how do they figure out? Ethan's friend that has an anxiety disorder, she does her beep boop bop computer stuff, figures it out. So she pulls it up, and then Kai, which is the other son, he sees it and he goes to that location. He goes with this bat that I guess he was going to beat the person up. He's a kid, kids don't think right. He goes, and when they open the door, y'all, my mouth went, oh, because my only gripe with the show, which is why it will not receive the highest score, my only gripe is I rewatched it again, there was almost no real indication that it was her. Like, it would have been more satisfying if, for example, Hoodwinks. I know people don't like that movie. Love that movie. hoodwinked. It would be more satisfying if she was always in the background of something, but she was in the background maybe like two or three times. It just wasn't as satisfying who it was. So everybody's like, okay, who is it? It's the secretary. It's the secretary that helped him set up all of his information. Long story short, she was very unhappy with her. I'm wrapping it up. I'll tell you what happened. She was very unhappy with her life. Her husband, obsessed with trains. She felt like he was like kind of abandoning her. And she saw Nick move to the school. She helped set everything up, and she had his login information, had his passwords, and she saw that Nick did have a profile on one of the dating sites. But he used it once, felt guilty, did not use it again. Not excusing it, that's still wrong. Also, too, I want to point out, it wasn't until after he found out about the affair. So Nick is on the site, and she sees that he got the notification, but Nick doesn't get on anymore. He deletes the app. He's absolved of that. Really, what needs to happen is they should have gone to therapy, and maybe they did. I don't know. They didn't talk about that, but like something like that happens. He didn't go through with it, so that's positive. But that should not have been where he ran. If they were Christians, which they said they weren't. They said they weren't religious. If they were Christians, they would have a mentor. Anyway, not get into that real world aspect of it. So she sees this, and because she knows his password, she just logs in, and she sees people messaging him, and she's like, well, let me just do it. She gets she's obsessed with it. She starts talking to all these different people, and it becomes like her own world. She has these headphones that have a voice changer, so she'll talk into the headphones, but the voice when she's talking on the phone, the voice will sound like a man. So that's why people thought that they were talking to a man, even though, because I don't know if you guys saw that Manti Te'o documentary, that guy could change his voice to a girl. This woman could not change her voice to a guy. She had a little headset. Okay, so she has this headset. She's doing this. Well, eventually her husband finds out and is like, what the heck are you doing, you crazy woman? And he tells her to stop. Like, you've got to stop this. He's like reading and everything. And then he leaves, and she's all upset. And then that's when the Sarah girl is like, why are you ignoring me? And she's so upset, and she starts being mean to her. And then that's when Sarah unalives herself. So time passed, and they find out what happens with Nick. And then her husband's like, this is because of you. That's the girl, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well then, a couple days later, Nick shows, well, not a couple days later, like a couple hours later, after he was not killed, Nick shows up at their house, and he realizes that it was her. She was the only one that knew about the affair, so she was the one who was pretending to be him. And like a fool, he says, I'm going to tell the police. Don't ever tell someone you're going to tell the police on them. Why would you do that, you guys? Like, everyone listening too, like, if you're going to call the police on somebody, just be like, oh, I heard what happened. All right, I'm gonna head out. He should have just gone directly to the police. I don't know why he would just go straight to her. Anyway, he goes to her, and the husband bashes his head in with a hammer and kills him. Okay, so that's what happened to Nick. Long story short, they kidnap Kai, the son, and they're going to kill him, but he runs away. The police find out where they are. They're at like a lake house or something like that. And this is because my friend was like, they're so stupid. Why do they go to a place that they own? And that's also too goes to show, like, they're not masterminds. This was all like spur of the moment. Like, they did not plan on doing this. They're not these crazy masterminds that are trying out to kill people. They're just old people that, I don't know. So, long story short, they get the boy, and they're able to have a proper funeral for Nick. And Sophie and Pia decide that they are family no matter what. And at the end of the day, they are family no matter what, because Pia is those boys' aunt, and Sophie is their mother. And they both loved dearly Nick. And we learned that at the end of the day, none of this was real. Nick never cheated. Well, I would argue that having the account in the first place was kind of cheating, but Nick never met with any of these women. Nick wasn't the one catfishing. Nick wasn't the one who was talking to them constantly. So yeah, it is such a good show. It keeps you on your toes. You have no idea this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. and like all of the episodes focusing on different people. I like that aspect of it. I'm going to give the show a 4. Like I said, it will not receive a 5 because 5 means that it was excellent. It was great. It was great. It wasn't just good, it was great. The ending was shocking. It just wasn't satisfying because I just did not feel like they like made us even think about, like, she was never, like, to me, a good ending is like someone who you would at least think about once. It never crossed my mind about her. So yeah, that's it. Oops, spoilers. Did you guys think that it was the secretary lady? If you did, let me know. And that's the show. Tune in next week for some more movie, TV show, maybe a book review. Bye.